Hey guys, Spiderbot here, and I hope you're not sick of me talking about Die Rise yet, because I sure as hell am not sick about talking about it. And, I'm kind of burnt out on TranZit, so to speak. I mean, we spent so much time on TranZit when Black Ops 2 was released that it's insane. It's insane. I don't even want to freaking load up the map anymore. I will, though. I haven't in a little while, but there really hasn't been anything new. But with the advent here of Die Rise, and especially with the information that came out from Amazon in the UK yesterday, or last night, that we reported on, where they talked about the map was in China, and then they made this reference to Escher. We'll come back to him in a minute, but I wanted to show you a few images that got tweeted out last night by I'm Just Chucky on Twitter. I'll put a link to his Twitter, but he sent me these images that I guess a friend of his took at a GameStop, and it is actually good high-res close-up images of the GameStop Black Ops 2 Revolution DLC poster. And, you search on Google, and I couldn't find anything with very high resolution, so we actually can zoom in on some of these images. So this one's actually a fairly decent close-up of the left-hand side of the image. You can see, again, with confirmation supposedly from Amazon that the map is in China, and we are going to tend to believe that information, then this is perhaps Chinese lettering. We thought perhaps maybe it was Chinese or Japanese or Korean or whatever. But I've yet to find anybody on Twitter that could actually translate that into English. I mean, obviously that's some sort of word, perhaps. So I would think it would say something. Now, the image that actually interested me the most was this one, and we'll zoom in here because it quite clearly shows some equipment attached to the zombie. I mean, obviously, it looks like the zombie is a military or a former military personnel, perhaps with body armor, but it looks like he has like a smoke grenade or a stun or concussion grenade attached to his body armor. And as well, if you look to the right of that, I mean, the one I'm referring to actually looks like it has that the pin handle right there that you can pull out and then toss your frag. But the device or whatever it is to the right of that, I'm not sure what that is. It could be a number of different things. It almost looks like perhaps like a shock charge, but I don't think that's the case. I mean, some people have mentioned on Twitter that it looks like maybe an old style frag, but if you actually look at it, and it almost looks like it's kind of rectangular shaped. I mean, it's at a weird angle, but could that be one of the pads that you use to call in certain score streak rewards? Could it be one of those, perhaps attached to his gear? But, I mean, regardless of what it is, again, looking at the buildings in the background, the body armor, and the actual, the stun or concussion or smoke grenade he has, I mean, this is modern or near future times. So, in some fashion, I don't know, we're time traveling. Who knows if, how our crew from TranZit is supposed to get here. Number one, they got to get to China. Number two, they got to travel into the future, perhaps. I don't know. Or are we going to see a return of the old characters with Richthofen's in the ether? I don't know how they would weave that story, but Takeo, Dempsey, and Nikolai. The other thing I wanted to note that perhaps I just forgot about mentioning in previous videos is this helicopter in the background to the upper left of his head. To us, it's to his right. You got this chopper in the background. I mean, what's it doing there? Is it transportation? Maybe it's dropping zombies in. Who knows? But regardless, it's there. One other kind of funny thing that one of the people on Twitter mentioned was this zombie. This is like the banner image at the top of the poster, and we've got the zombie with I don't know if that's a mohawk or it looks like he's got nearly half his head shaved and his hair's flopped over to the other side. Well, who does this look like? Well, this is the guy from Skrillex. I don't know. I mean, did they do that on purpose just to make it kind of look like this guy? I don't know. He kind of has to tilt his head that way when he takes a picture, because if he tilts it the other way, his hair might flop over. Anyway, somebody mentioned that. I thought it was kind of funny. I thought I'd put it in here for you guys. Now, something somebody else mentioned had to do with a particular quote from Marlton that he makes on TranZit that may have hinted at the possibility of China being a location where the next map would be. So let's listen to that quote.
I would not trade this for all the tea in China, if there even is a China anymore.
All right, so looks like this is something that Marlton would say when he pulls a weapon from the box. According to the wiki for Black Ops 2 Zombies, it's when he pulls an S10 or sorry S12 from the box. Can't confirm that, but regardless, this is what he says. Now, I mean that is a saying. I mean, not trading, all the tea in China. That is a well-known saying, and it could just be in there by happenstance. But perhaps it is or was intended to be sort of a prelude or hint to the upcoming map Die Rise, located in China. All right, so I mentioned we get back to Escher, but first I want to talk about Tower of Babel. Now, obviously, we know, and this is a painting, and this painting can actually be found in TranZit, I believe, in a couple of locations, including the bar in town. But basically, we know that the Tower of Babel achievement, I mean, is spelled B-A-B-B-L-E instead of Babel, which is actually the actual Tower of Babel, which is B-A-B-E-L, and it's named after a city. I'm just going to give you a little history or feedback or information on Tower of Babel. It was or forms the focus of a story told in the book of Genesis of the Bible. According to the story, a united humanity of the generations following the great flood, speaking a single language and migrating from the east, came to the land of Shinar, where they resolved to build a city with a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. God came down to see what they did and said, "They are one people and have one language, and nothing will be withheld from them which they propose to do. Come, let us go down and confound their speech." And so God scattered them upon the face of the earth and confused their languages, so that they would not be able to return to each other. And they left off building the city, which was called Babel, because God there confounded the language of all the earth. Now, don't ask me why he would come down and do that. I mean, everybody's come together in unity and in a single language and are working together to build something, and God says, yeah, let's go to we're going to go mess all that up, and we're just going to mess around and make them all speak different languages and scatter them across the world just for fun. I mean, and who is they he's talking about? It's like, come, let us go down and confound their speech. Who is he talking about? Let us go down. Him and who? I don't know. Anyways. So just a bit more about the Tower of Babel. I mean, the story explains, sort of tries to explain the confusion of tongues or the variation in human language. And how does that apply to us in TranZit? I mean, obviously, again, the achievement's called Tower of Babel. You've got these Tower of Babel images, and I'm sure it combines with other things. But, I mean, really, the most interesting part about this is with reference to Escher for Die Rise. And I'm going to be researching a little bit more about this and continuing on with some of the TranZit secrets with regards to the locations of the bus driver, but now also including the Tower of Babel. But check this out. Tower of Babel is also a 1928 woodcut by M.C. Escher. It depicts the Babylonians attempting to build a tower to reach God, a story that is recounted in Genesis 11:9. God frustrated their attempts by creating a confusion of languages so the builders could no longer understand each other, and the work halted. Although Escher dismissed his works before 1935 as of little or no value, as they were, for the most part, merely practice exercises, some of them, including the tower, chart the development of his interest and perspective in unusual viewpoints that became the hallmarks of his later, more famous work. So in contrast to other depictions of the story, he actually depicts the tower as a geometrical structure, as opposed to a circular structure, and places the viewpoint above the tower. This allows him to exercise his skill with perspective, but he also chose to center the picture around the top of the tower as the focus for the climax of the action. He later commented, "Some of the builders are white and others black. The work is at a standstill because they are no longer able to understand one another. Seeing as the climax of the drama takes place at the summit of the tower, which is under construction, the building has been shown from above as though from a bird's eye view." So could this play in? I mean, obviously it's going to. I mean, they're not going to come out with a description for the map and talk about how it could be an MC Escher painting without some sort of linkage, whether it be Tower of Babel or some sort of other linkage to his other work, which I'll show some images of, and you can also research yourself. But as I said, I'm definitely going to go back and start looking at, you take different perspectives when you go into TranZit and you're focused on completing a goal or whatever. You're not necessarily looking at it from different perspectives. Whereas, start taking some of this information and thinking about it and going into TranZit and looking at it from that perspective, from the perspective of, okay, well, how does the Tower of Babel fit in, and how could other things that MC Escher has produced, how could that fit in, and then how is that going to apply on Die Rise? But definitely, it's interesting stuff, and the reason why I keep posting videos about it is because it's new and interesting. Yes, it's not released yet, and I'm sure they're going to have a trailer hopefully this week, if not next week. I don't know. I was hoping it would be sooner rather than later. But it's great. It's fresh, and I'm really excited to play this map come January 29th. How about you guys? What do you guys think? What other comments do you have regarding the Tower of Babel and the tie-in between TranZit and Die Rise? I mean, again, with the time frame difference, how are the characters going to get there? Are they going to be the same characters? Who knows? But definitely still looking forward to it. I don't care if people say, well, Die Rise, I don't really like the name, or, yeah, it's in China. What's it doing in China? You know what? They'll weave a story, and it'll be interesting. Have some faith, people, and make sure you stick around to NGTZombies, because we'll be covering it all, yeah, come January 29th, and, a lot before that, too. Just like today. Anyways, I'm Spider, and I'm out.